Huntington to play tennis. Marley Middlebrooks heading to Flagler to play volleyball. Jordan Martinez heading to Gulf Coast to play some baseball. Blake Bowen and Jared Kavoris are going to Coastal Alabama to play baseball. Congratulations to y'all. From Rutherford, Cedric Andrews heading to Eastern Kentucky to play a little football. Jaden Richardson heading to Southeastern University for football. And Jakari Brown headed to St. Thomas University for football. And out of Arnold, Hunter Griffin going to play boys soccer for University of Mobile. Shout out to Danny Griffin, who has now got Hunter and Lexi playing collegiate soccer. Then Ben Parsons out of Arnold heading to Tampa for swimming for the University of Tampa. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up, we're going to be talking with the Orlando Magic play-by-play broadcaster, Jake Chapman.
ESPN Northwest Florida, the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Brenda is up next.
I wanted to tell you that I've given the last hour of your show a name.
Yeah, what's the name?
The name is The Witching Hour.
Wow, you're right. This last hour has been pretty much insane.
Paul Feinbaum, weeknights, 6 to 10 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a wind around 8 miles per hour out of the east-northeast and 64. Tonight, look for partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 45. Tomorrow, high around 64 and partly sunny much of the day, but with slight fog at night. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Billboard Kia. Let your New Year adventures begin in a new Kia Sorento. Billboard Kia has a few new 2023 Kia Sorentos left, and they will not last long. You get the savings and drive away today. Now offering 0.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento. Billboard Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillboardKiaPanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia Sorento with $2,122 per month for $1,000 financed for 48 months. Quantities limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Billboard Kia warranty. Must see dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 3/4/24.
Hometown sports talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 right here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Adam Goff and Caveman Rick, and it is our pleasure to welcome on the Orlando Magic radio play-by-play broadcaster, Jake Chapman. We will have the Spurs and the Magic tomorrow night right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Jake, how's it going today?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Phenomenal, man. Beautiful weather in this area of Florida today. But let's talk a little bit about those Orlando Magic falling to the Heat last night, 121-95, and that ended their 4-game win streak. What did you take away from that game last night?
Yeah, it was like a tired team at the end of a 5-game road trip. Miami has a way, especially when you're playing them there, of kind of sucking you into their style of game, which is physical. They, for whatever reason, know how to get aggressive and maybe toe that line between defending and then fouling and then defending without fouling. And we haven't quite figured that out yet. So that was an issue. I think we got really frustrated early in that game with the way the officiating was going. That's just the way it is sometimes out on the road in the NBA. And then there was a 40-point third quarter, and that was the big swing. Every game, it seems like, between the two teams this year has come down to one, 15-2 run or something like that. They end up winning the season series 3-1, and it was the third quarter yesterday. They put 40 points on the board. And with all that said, the Magic hung in there. They still got a good performance out of Paolo Banchero. They always seem to. Wendell hit a couple shots. Carter Jr. in the second half knocked down a few threes, kept it close. But then Jimmy Butler did Jimmy Butler stuff in the fourth quarter, and that was enough for them to run away with it. But it was really that tough stretch in the third quarter. You give up 40 points, and that was kind of the story of the ballgame.
Appreciate that. And give a summary of the season for the Orlando Magic to this point for the listeners.
Yeah, it was, you've got two young potential superstars, right? Paolo Banchero gets named to his first All-Star team this year. He's been absolutely everything and more that you could ask for from a number one pick in his first two seasons, Rookie of the Year last year. They finished 29-28 over the back half of last season after a 5-20 start. And they were a really good defensive team. And they brought back a whole bunch of players, a whole bunch of young players. They were the fourth youngest team in the league on opening day this year. And they jumped out to a 16-7 start on the backs of both Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner and the defense. And the defense has been solid all year. You're still a top 5 defensive team. Came back down to earth a little bit as some injuries hit. Franz missed 8 games in January. That was a big blow. But you got a young group that seems like it should be around for a long time. Trade deadline's tomorrow. We'll see if anything happens. I don't expect anything too drastic to. But after that 16-7 start, you came back and kind of flirted with a 500 record, and then you went on a really tough road trip 10 days ago, and you end up coming back with a 3-2 record. You got a big win over the Minnesota Timberwolves last Friday in Minnesota, very tough place to play. So it's a young team, and I think certainly brighter days are ahead. It's to be as young as this team is, guys, and to defend the way they do, that's pretty rare. And so I think that's a testament to Coach Mosley, now in year 3, and the coaching staff and the buy-in that he's gotten from that locker room. But it's a team that still struggles to score the basketball, still struggles to shoot from the perimeter. So those are the things that you're looking to address moving forward. But it's a young core and good vibes. It's got a good group, and it's been a fun season so far, and it's been long overdue. It's been a while since people around here and in the state of Florida were this excited about a young Magic team.
Jake, AG here. What stands out to you when watching Paolo?
Couple things, AG. First of all, he's so cool, calm, and collected for a 21-year-old. It just doesn't get too high or too low. And the guy's a dog, man. Like, every game matters. I loved what I heard from him last night. He was talking about, okay, we weren't good enough in this game. Obviously, you saw the result. He said, we weren't good enough on Sunday when we won in Detroit. It was, it took 38 points from Franz Wagner to put away a team that had 6 wins. And so Paolo is always looking, all he wants is guys around him who it matters as much to them as it does to him. He's got an amazing pedigree. His mother was a WNBA player. She was his coach, actually, when he was younger. But his dad, played cornerback at the University of Washington. So he's just one of these guys who was kind of born into this. Nothing seems like it's too big for him. And to be 21 years old and putting the numbers on the board that he's doing, first All-Star appearance, youngest All-Star for the Magic franchise since Shaq. I mean, his name is up there right now as far as our franchise history goes, just in his first 2 seasons with the one-name guys, right, with Shaq and T-Mac and Dwight. So he's been outstanding, and it is just night to night. You can tell, like, every second of every game really matters to this guy, and that can be kind of rare, especially in the NBA and especially with somebody who's 21 years old.
Hey, Jake, Caveman Rick, I got a question to ask you. This is something that we were actually talking about on the show yesterday about LeBron possibly making a move, leaving, the Lakers. I did mention that if, he was to go to Orlando and win a championship, that he would be bigger than Mickey Mouse in Orlando. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think anybody who could deliver a championship would surpass. I will say this, like, if LeBron came to Orlando, he'd probably be bigger than Mickey by when he arrived. I mean, he's already done that much. I don't know because I was thinking about this because the people have been talking about the Knicks, right? And the Knicks are such a flagship franchise, and they've been so bad for so long. They finally have a pretty good team, but the idea of them adding LeBron at some point, and what would it mean for his legacy if he delivered a championship there? And I still wonder if we're still going to hold it against him that he's bounced around this many times, right? Like delivering a title for 4 different franchises compared to Mike doing it 6 times in Chicago. I don't know. I think no matter what, we're always going to find something to pick pick at with regards to LeBron. So, and some of that certainly he's brought upon himself. But I fully expect, the Bronny question is kind of funny, but I don't think he's going anywhere soon because they have a team. They showed you last season. If they have LeBron and Anthony Davis healthy in the postseason, it doesn't really matter who's around them. They're good enough to make a deep run. So, look, Darvin Ham's job's on the line. You think he's ready to trade LeBron away? You just don't. There's no way you get value for LeBron James, even at his age. He's just still too important, and he represents too many dollar signs to 30 franchises. So I highly doubt the Lakers are just going to let him go.
Yeah, it was kind of something we were talking about with Bronny. The way that the conversation happened was with Bronny projected to be undrafted. Could you see, like an NBA team taking a chance on Bronny James and maybe not drafting him, but signing him as an undrafted free agent, and then that team like figuring out how to get LeBron James, because that would be like a pawn. Like, here you go, LeBron, come play for us.
Well, and I think that's a real conversation to be had, and I think there's a chance that team would spend a draft pick on Bronny James.
I agree.
Just with the hope that eventually you land LeBron. It's not some novelty. Like, he is still one of the best players in the world. Is he the best player in the world? Is he, Miami Heat LeBron? No, but he's still pretty dang good. So no, I wouldn't be shocked if any of that stuff happened, and it's still early in the process. It probably would make the most sense for him to go back to school, but I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great point there, Jake. By the way, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We are on the line with Orlando Magic play-by-play for the radio, Jake Chapman. Jake, Wemby coming to town tomorrow night. Is he going to be playing? And if so, what is the best course of action for the Magic defense to contain him?
Oh man, I mean, you just got to try to make him feel you. I just never seen anybody who's this big. And this coordinated and this fluid. He is absolutely incredible. I believe he's going to play. I'm not positive. The Spurs have been kind of jerking around with that stuff all season long, which kind of bugs me a little bit. They're sort of doing him a disservice. I think they've got a plan. They want to add talent around him, and they want to limit his minutes, and they don't want to burn him out. But you got to play, and you got to play games, and you have to play high-level games in order to get to that next level. Whatever, they can do whatever they want to with him. For us, I wish he was in the Eastern Conference so we saw him more than just twice a season, because that game that we played against them was my first chance at least to watch every second of a game that he played in. And he just does things every night that the eye test is like, it blows up the eye test, right? And then he's putting the numbers up that back it up as well. He did a move a week or two ago. It's called a sham god, which is like an inside-out dribble, right, with all the right hand. And just it's named after God Shamgod, who was a street legend point guard, right, in New Providence, exactly, in New York City. And this is a 7'4" guy doing stuff like that, and it was against Rudy Gobert, no less. So he's fascinating. I think he has lived up already, which is kind of rare to say, to that generational type prospect hype. LeBron was probably the last guy who got that amount of hype coming out and actually lived up to it. It's still early, but he's pretty special. And to get back to the original question, a guy like Wendell, a guy like Jonathan Isaac, you want to throw big physical guys at him and just hit them. Try to keep them off the block, just throw hips at them, throw elbows at them. Obviously within the realm of legality. But that's the one thing right now is he's young. He hasn't had this kind of I guess, rugged play over the course of an 82-game season. And so I think the one thing you want to do is, keep him off his spots, keep bodies on him at all time, and just make sure by the time he's done with the game against you that he needs a nice cold shower.
Wow, French on French crime, dude. Wemby on Gobert, that's kind of nice. It's like the first time the French are actually, attacking and doing something. It's awesome. Good to see.
Hey, Jake, who's the unsung hero so far for the Magic? Right now they're sitting in the 8th spot. They're 27-24. So, most people, to the naked eye, they would say, okay, well, you're only 3 games above 500. But in the Eastern Conference, that's nothing to sneeze at there. So tell me who besides Paolo and Franz that you think has really helped propel this team to that mark?
I'd say Jalen Suggs is the third in that regard, and here's why: the defense I think jumps out at you. He's just some nights he's able to completely wreck an opposing team's game plan. Steals, he's top 10 in the league in steals. He just pressures at the point of attack so well now in year 3 that, shades of Marcus Smart and some of these guys, he plays that role defensively for this team, and nobody else does it anywhere near as well as he does. The other thing is the perimeter shooting, and that's really come along. In his first 2 years, he was a pretty rough offensive player, and he's shooting 38% from 3, and that's come way down. He was up over 40% for the first 2.5 months of the season. He's had a couple kind of lean weeks shooting the rock, but yeah, you want to talk about something that not a lot of other guys on the team do particularly well. That's really the downfall of this team right now, is the offense is really struggling because they don't get enough spacing on the floor. And you got 2 guys in Powell and Franz who can get to the rack almost whenever they want to. Well, when you don't have much spacing around them, now teams are just packing the paint. They literally have 5 guys with 1 foot in the paint saying, go ahead, you've got 10 eyes on you, Paulo. See if you can do it right now. And you loosen up that defense when you get that perimeter shooting and that spacing. Mm-hmm. So that's what Jalen's role has been. That's what Wendell Carter Jr. as a center does a lot. He's actually shot the ball pretty well from the perimeter as well. But you need guys around Powell and Franz to knock down shots from 3-point range. And Jalen in year 3 has done that much better than he did in year 1 and 2. And he's actually done it fairly better than anybody else on the team. Percentage-wise, I think Wendell's still ahead of him. And I think that's it. Shooting, 38% now from 3-point range for Jalen. And it's on much bigger volume. He shoots 5 of them a night. So he's been the perimeter shooter, and he's alleviated some pressure on those guys throughout the year. And then what he does on the other end is, we're talking top 5, guard and wing defenders in the league. He's that good, and he's only getting better.
A little less than 24 hours here before we hit the trade deadline for the NBA. Do you see the Magic making a move at the deadline?
If they do, you guys, I think it's going to be something small and complimentary, largely because of everything I just said, right? Like, you're still ahead of schedule. I think the idea of being in the mix for a play-in spot this year was the realistic goal at the beginning of the season. And, as of right now, you're in that mix, but it's still very possible you could make a charge. We've got a big homestand coming up, 8 games in the month of March. 17 of our next 24 games are at Kia Center, where the Magic are a much better team. So if you can get to 6, 7, 8 games above 500, then you're out of the play-in tournament. I just don't know, and you don't have very many long-term contracts that you would want to get off of. You've got this core in place of young guys. I just don't think you want to move any of those guys if you know, or if you have a hunch that their best basketball is still ahead of them. And like I said, your average age was like 24 years old at the beginning of the year. So, some of the veteran guys I could see maybe if there's a championship contending team that, their timeline is a few years ahead of you, maybe they call and offer you something, a protected first or something for one of the vets or one of the guys on short-term money. But I don't think it makes a ton of sense to trade away any of the core, 5 or 6 pieces, the guys 27 and under, because you're going to be looking to get back somebody who's about in the same realm. Yes, you need shooting, and so I could see them adding a rotational player, maybe for a draft pick or 2 down the line, or one of those short money contracts like I talked about. But I don't think you're going to make a blow your socks off type move. It's just too early in the process right now. You want to get a little bit closer to the end goal, and then you want to figure out what's the piece that's going to put us over the top before you push your chips in. I don't think they're there yet.
Jake, the Magic are retiring Shaq's jersey February 13th versus the Thunder. I wanted to ask you what your favorite Orlando Magic Shaq moment or memory was.
That's a good question. So I turned 40 in March, so I was like right, and I grew up in Cleveland, and I was like right in the prime age for Don't Fake the Funk on the Nasty Dunk and Blue Chips and all of that Reebok, Fushnikins and all that stuff. In the early 90s when Shaq got here. It was the second NBA jersey I owned, was the Shaquille O'Neal white Orlando Magic jersey. I had the starter hat, I had the coat, I had all the stuff. And so, but the favorite highlight is, thinking about it when I'm 8 years old watching SportsCenter before second grade or whatever, was when he brought the basket down. And that's still, I think, the best call. David Steele's call, because David is, oh my God, he brought the basket down. It's still, when you hear the radio call, it still kind of has that old-timey sound to it. That was the one. But then I also remember, I always, when I think of Shaq in that era, there's one video shot from like NBA inside stuff with Ahmad Rashad or whatever back in the day, where it was a loose ball and Shaq's he's sliding on his stomach towards the camera, right? And he grabs the ball and then he looks all frantic and scared into the camera and then he throws it over his shoulder. Those are just, he was such a phenomenon and such a rock star back then, which is why it makes the most sense. Like, he had to be the first jersey when we decided we were going to retire a jersey, period. It had to be number 32. It has to be Shaq because, that's kind of like there was the Orlando Magic for the first few years before Shaq arrived, and then they became the Orlando Magic, and that was the sort of defining moment. Was when they landed him, and then when the whole league realized, oh my goodness, this dude's going to be dominating for the next decade plus. But those two stick out. The David's call of he brought the basket down, and then that one shot of him sliding on his stomach. I just always think of those two things when I think of that era of Shaquille O'Neal, and I wish he had been here longer. That was, I think, the only reason it's taken this long is because of the Lakers and the way that all went down. In 96, because that could have been pretty special. And my all-time favorite basketball player is Penny. So, like, the two of them, it's the two of, I don't know, we'll see. Like, I think you do this and then you just kind of let it settle in. But that era was something pretty special, and there's still people here, and it's one of the reasons I love working for the Magic. There are still a lot of people here who were part of the organization back then, and they've got some pretty awesome stories. So, it should be a fun night next Tuesday, I guess it is.
When you were living up there in Cleveland, were you a Magic fan or were you a Cavs fan?
Well, I was one of those, like, I liked the Cavs a lot. That was Price and Doherty. But that was, the era where with the starter hats and all that stuff where I liked the Hornets because of Grandmama and Alonzo Mourning. I just liked all the cool-looking stuff. So if you had cool colors or a cool logo, I was gonna represent. And I was a huge Hornets fan, Magic fan, and then, yes, I liked the Cavs back then, but, I think every 10-year-old, like the Cowboys, for instance, in 94, I had all that stuff. I was locked in.
I love it, man. I appreciate keeping it real because I lived there in Charlotte for a little while. I'm actually a Pacers fan, so I think March 10th the Pacers got the Magic, so I'm going to try to get down there for that. But, Jake, thank you so much for giving us some of your time, man. It was a real pleasure, and would love to have you back on in the near future.
For sure, and let us know about March 10th. We'll hook you up.
All right, sounds good, man. You take care, and we'll enjoy that call tomorrow evening.
All right, boys, be well.
All right, that is Jake Chapman. How cool is that?
It's awesome.
Really a great interview. He's the play-by-play guy, and I believe, he puts together all of the format, and he's got he does it with a guy named Dante as well. But I mean, he puts in a lot of work, so he wears a lot of different hats, and it gave some great insight there with his answers, and that was a lot of fun. And my favorite part, I think, of the interview was when he was describing his favorite Shaq moments. We're all over here almost like reenacting, assuming what it is that he's about to say. But that was Jake Chapman, play-by-play for the Orlando Magic radio broadcast. A lot of good stuff there. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we are going to be doing a little trivia, some on this day, and some headlines. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the most college basketball.
Three-pointer. College basketball is back.
The Panhandle's destination for live play-by-play.
The SEC, ACC, and beyond.
Oh, you saw that coming, Rafa.
The biggest games play right here.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a wind around 8 miles per hour out of the east-northeast and 64. Tonight, look for partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 45. Tomorrow, high around 64 and partly sunny much of the day, but with slight fog at night. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Kitchen Designs in Panama City Beach and Santa Rosa Beach want to help you make your dream kitchen a reality in 2024. Family owned and operated for over 20 years, they offer cabinets, countertops, flooring, and tile. Their cash and carry program offers shaker white cabinets available the very next day. Call Kitchen Designs to make your dream come true. 850-775-4150.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs,
This 53-man roster is stupid.
where it's halftime all the time.
Raise the rosters, you cheapskate owners, and get that done now.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
$5 a pop. It's cheaper than Uber. You can send that to my Venmo.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. You can call or text us at 850-215-6290. We just had Jake Chapman on the line with us. He is the Orlando Magic play-by-play guy for the radio, and that's going to be kicking off here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to be playing select games, so just kind of throughout the year, we'll be playing some Orlando Magic games. Still trying, we've got Auburn, Alabama tonight at 6 o'clock. Have a couple of games. I think we've got a triple header, honestly, this Saturday, which reminds me that I got to get to work on that clock before we get it going. Whenever we add something like this, though, there's a lot of little details that you have to, go through and cross the T's and dot the I's.
You don't just punch a button and it magically works?
No, sir. No, sir. And it's not as bad when you're doing something that's on the same receiver, because you can kind of copy and paste some things, but then you have to just make sure that everything is on the up and up and that it's actually working. Because we've had situations before where when we did the test, everything was working, and then when we're airing the game, it's like, oh, why is this happening? And then at that point, you're up to the mercy of the network, and you got to hope that they're not having issues. I don't know. There's a whole bunch that goes on to it. Real quick for trivia before we get over to the phone line. On February 6th, 2011, Tom Brady became the first player in NFL history to win the MVP award by unanimous vote. Who is the only other player to do so? Do you have an idea?
I know who it is.
You know who it is. Do you know who it is, Caveman Rick?
I think I got a good idea.
All right. We're going to go over to the phone line. Travis, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What's going on, my friend?
What's up?
Not a whole lot. What you got for us?
So I didn't get the call yesterday because I got to listen to the show afterwards, but I'd heard y'all talking yesterday about the favorite Toby Keith song.
Oh yeah, go ahead with it.
And I was so surprised that nobody said this one. Because to me, it's one of the most patriotic songs I've ever heard. It just fires you up, and that's courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue.
Yeah, man. I mean, oh, wow. That's a really good one, and we could have probably just named off his discography, and not too many people would have been upset about that. But, yeah, there's a ton of great songs there. From Toby Keith, and we will surely miss him. What do you think about Nick Saban going to game day with ESPN?
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, it just happened.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that just happened right before the show, I believe, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So do you have anything else for us, Travis?
No, that's about it. I was just going to put that out there.
Yes, sir. Well, we love that answer, man, and we really do appreciate your call. You have a great rest of your day, my friend.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Nick Saban is headed to game day. He's also going to be an analyst for the Super Bowl. Is that what you said?
An NFL draft.
Okay, NFL draft. That was right. I was when I said Super Bowl, I was like, that's not what he said. And why would he be?
Replacing Lee Corso.
Is that what we're thinking though? Is this the replacement for Corso?
It's the only thing that makes sense. I mean, he and McAfee already have a rapport. Well, he and McAfee already have a rapport, right?
But
McAfee has his own shtick, his own.
McAfee's a cartoon character. He's just there for like comic relief, I think. I don't think he's there for a whole lot of substance, really.
Here's my issue with people who say that. Do they listen to Pat McAfee?
Yeah.
Because that's seriously though. For people to say that, they can't listen to his show then. Because I've listened to his show quite a few times, and I'm like, I really like this guy. Yeah, he brings some humor, some comedy to it, but I think he's got some really good insight. And not only that, he does what a good host should always try to do. And I think that I try my best to implement it and keep a good crew around him, because you're only as good as your crew is anyways, and I think he's got a great crew. So for me, I personally, every time that I listen to Pat McAfee, I'm just like, what is it that tick people off about him? And maybe it's just his over-the-topness. Maybe it's him being...
I think it's the wife beater T-shirts, honestly.
Okay, all right. Yeah, maybe there's...
That's the only thing I can come up with. The dude's funny. He's smart. He speaks well. He's energetic. He gets people involved, not just his guests and his hosts, but he gets the crowd involved, and not just when he's on... game day, but also, on his own show. I mean, he gets people fired up. People talk about him. And he's divisive by nature, I think, just because of how brash he is. And I think maybe that's what rubs people the wrong way.
That's it.
I probably agree a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I think that, to me, that's just kind of what he is. I'm saying, not saying he's bad for the show.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's, I think, his role in my mind.
Yeah, and one thing that I really like when we're just speaking specifically to game day is the relationship that he has with Kirk Herbstreit. I've really come to like that. And then you mentioned with the rapport that he's got with Nick Saban. I mean, now Nick Saban, Kirk Herbstreit. And so I wonder who is the odd man out, because wasn't there talk though of McAfee saying he wasn't going to be back for next year because of a lot of the things
Pollock's gone, and then Saban's just going to replace, like I said, Corso probably just be the one old head on there that's going to talk about the old times and how stuff used to be. And
I don't see Saban putting on the headgear though.
Yeah, he's not going to do that.
McAfee, I could see McAfee.
I can see him doing
the headgear.
Yeah, kind of like as an homage to Corso and whatnot. Yeah,
but you got to keep the headgear going.
But I think you still keep Desmond Howard. I think you still. There's room for one more.
Do you think they keep the headgear going though? Or do you think they retired because it's a Corso thing? Or
I think that you can
maybe find something else.
You can make a segment though. You keep it the same. I don't know, man. For me, I think that you should continue it. Yeah. And if you disagree with that, I'm completely fine. Not you. I'm just saying in general. If people disagree with that, and it's like, well, it would be disrespectful. I can totally see that side of the fence as well. And so if it needs to stay with Lee Corso, then that's fine. But to me, that is one of the things. I don't even sit there and watch. Game day for me is like a background noise.
And I love the signs, show, man.
I love the show, but dude, if I sit there and I watch game day, then I would not get any type of exercise. You know what I mean? Because that's sitting on the couch from 8 till 1:30 in the daggum morning. So if I sit there and I have to try to get stuff done during game time. With that being said, though, that's one of the things that I look forward to each week, right? Is and not that I don't hold any weight to that. I just love the fact that he does that, and to me, it's one of the coolest things. And so I hope that they don't let it go. And I want to see Desmond Howard continue to stay on there. So really,
he wants to stay. Michigan just won it all.
Oh yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, you cannot. So. And yeah, I'm with you though. I really don't think let's do this instead of Corso sitting up there for the entirety of the show. If ESPN, because really I don't think ESPN is like, come on Corso, we really need you. I don't think it's been like that for 2 or 3 years. I think it's been Lee Corso, who's friends with the rest of the cast, real friends with the rest of the cast, the rest of the panel on College Game Day. And I think that him wanting to continue to do it, so those other guys stick up for him and are like, whatever it is that we need to do to continue to help you do this, we're going to do that. So I think instead of him being up there on that stage for the whole 4 hours or whatever, just get him there remote him in for the final 5 minutes or whatever. Yeah, for headgear. And if he wants to be there and he can healthily be there and then let him be there. I just think if you've done something for a long time and you're not really bringing anything negative to it, the negativity that's brought is people saying, oh, he's getting too old for it. Okay.
He's looking really feeble and he's stuttering his words and he's not making a whole lot of sense. I mean, it's I would think embarrassing,
But if it's not embarrassing him, then who does it bother?
Well, apparently, like, the people are bothered by it. Like, I mean, honestly, when I see it, I just kind of, like, I don't like seeing it. It makes me feel kind of bad, you know?
I don't know. If it was, like, I guess putting it like this. All right, if it was my grandpa, if that was my grandpa up there, and if he enjoys doing it, but I don't enjoy seeing him up there, who's embarrassed? I'm embarrassed. That's selfish.
No, and I feel you.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and the thing is I don't think he would keep doing it if he didn't love doing it. Right. So, do they bring him back in certain weeks? Probably.
Yeah.
I think a remote kind of thing is probably the most ideal because, and they can't guarantee it every week because we don't know his health situation.
Yeah.
So, Herb Street and all the guys, they love him. They want him around. But to get back to our original point, I think Saban is just an addition. I don't think he's a replacement for anybody unless it's Lee Corso. But I still think Corso's part of it in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, how wild would it be, though, first episode of College Game Day and, like, the end of the show or whatever, Saban is the one donning the mascot heads and whatnot.
Could you imagine him putting on a Georgia Bulldog head?
They got to be paying him a lot of money to do that.
Yeah, throwing on a Georgia Bulldog. Oh, my goodness, yeah.
They tear down his statue.
I don't know if they would with a Georgia Bulldog. I think that would test some people.
They
but
cut the statue down and put it in a garbage can and catch it on fire.
Throw it on fire. There you go. Well, what if he ever put on the Obby the Tiger?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. That's when it would be like, all right, coach, like, you know what? Take you and your championships and get out of here. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding. It'll be interesting to see game day next year, though. Netflix, they're going to be following the Boston Red Sox for the 2024 season. They're going to release a documentary in 2025. The series is going to focus on the human interest elements of players' lives instead of being formatted similar to HBO's Hard Knocks, according to The Athletic's Jen McCaffrey. Also, Netflix is going to premiere a brand new documentary. I'm sure Boston Tim's going to love this, and so will all of us as far as baseball fans go. It's going to take a look at the 2004 Red Sox, the team that ended the curse of the Bambino by winning the franchise first World Series title in 86 years. And in the world of golf, Tiger Woods, he'll be playing in the Genesis Invitational. That starts next Thursday, February 15th. And then a couple of bits from hockey real quick. The Golden Knights last night in the Oilers' 16-game winning streak. They were one win shy of matching the NHL's all-time record for consecutive victories. That was set by the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1992, 1993, 17 games, 17-game winning streak. 2016-17 Columbus Blue Jackets are the only other team in league history to win 16 straight games. Your Tampa Bay Lightning back in action tonight. One of the hottest teams in the NHL. They've won 8 of 10 before the All-Star break, and now they're getting a little bit more healthy. They've got D-Man Mikhail Sergachev and Eric Chernak back, and both expected to return to action tonight against the New York Rangers. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Hour number 2 is coming up next. We're going to start it off with our top 5 snack cakes. How about that for a little 5 at 5? We'll be right back.
Home for the NFL. ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for Super Bowl 58. It's the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. Listen in a rich audio experience live from Las Vegas. Super Bowl 58 this Sunday. Coverage starts at 1, kickoff at 5:30 on your home for Super Bowl 58. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. Sunny the remainder of the day with a wind around 8 miles per hour out of the east-northeast and 64. Tonight, look for partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 45. Tomorrow, high around 64 and partly sunny much of the day, but with slight fog at night. This weather forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
With
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at instantReplaySportsCards.com.
Go home for Super Bowl 58. WGSX WPLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
Hometown Sports Talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Woo, baby, let's get ready for hour number 2. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to dive into our top 5 at 5, which is our top 5 snacks. And I've been eating a little bit more Little Debbie cakes lately, so I wanted to get our opinions on our top 5s here because I've been feeling like Nick Saban. Couple of texts to get into real quick before we dive into that. Then I'll hit you guys with the most teams with the ESPN 300 recruits, or the teams with the most 300 or ESPN 300 recruits, and then your top 10 classes real quick before we dive into that top 5 at 5. Lynn Haven Rob says that the Coca-Cola bottle might be glued to the podium with Nick Saban taking over there. Not taking over, but being added to game day. And then we got a text from, I'm not even going to reveal who sent this, but McAfee looks and acts Philly, but isn't, and there lies the problem.
Wow. I don't know who sent that, but I mean, that's not a problem for me, man. I don't think he looks and acts Philly.
Who sent this is a good friend of the shows, really good friend of the shows, Boston Tim.
Oh, okay, right.
Boston Tim, my man.
Like that, man.
Yeah, when he said that, I was like, maybe a little bit of
he's
point
kind of
there.
brash and stuff. I mean, maybe you can say he sounds like that. I mean, but I don't know. Like, I don't have a problem with the guy per se. I just think, like, that's his role, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense, too, though. There is a lot of sense there because what other thing does he do that you kind of need that type of personality?
I mean, you already got,
WWE.
like, you know, the guys that give you, like, smart breakdown, like a Herb Street and, like, a Desmond Howard, you know, guys that give you the good analytic side of it. And you got to have somebody that brings, like I said, a little of that comedy, a little of that color.
There you go. There you go. All right, ESPN 300 recruits, the teams with the most. Georgia's got 21 ESPN 300 recruits. Alabama, not much has changed. I mean, I know Saban's gone, and I think these numbers might change a little bit as we get closer, but who knows? Alabama has 18 of them. Oregon has 17. LSU and Texas have 14 apiece. Ohio State with 13. Miami comes in with 12, and then Oklahoma, Auburn, Penn State, and Florida State all have 11 of the ESPN 300 recruits. I didn't know if you were looking at it.
No, it's just not shocking to me. I mean,
no.
But the thing is this is high school, right? This isn't portal.
Right.
Where I think we're starting to see a trend more toward, you know, coaches not really putting as much emphasis into their high school class. And it's important, don't get me wrong. But would you rather have a freshman that, you know, is coming in, is underweight, is, you know, underskilled, or have somebody that is coming from somewhere that has had a year or two maturity elsewhere, learning, development, and then you can bring them in and make them part of your system. So you can blab all day of I've got the number one high school recruiting class. How'd that work out for Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher?
Right. Yeah, no, and that's a really good point. And I think there's two I wouldn't say two sides, maybe two schools of thought, if you will. Because the correct answer is, if you're trying to build a championship winning program, like the guy who you know what brings to the table at the level that you're already at is the guy that's going to fit better into maybe not your system, but you know what you're getting out of him. But then my other side, especially calling high school football games now and then being involved with youth football, is like, man, but these are the guys of the future. You go get a guy at the transfer portal, like he's more than likely going to be transferring next year anyways. Especially it's like each year we're like, oh, you get one transfer, now it's two transfers. Okay, here you get a transfer in the middle of the season type deal. I'm being facetious, of course, but still, it's one of those things that I dislike the fact that it's looked at like that, and it's a reality. You're not saying this is how it should be. No, this is how it is, and so a lot of high school kids end up getting overlooked because of Mr. So-and-so who played here wasn't good enough to play there, but now all of a sudden, he's going to fit in on this roster a little bit better than a kid out of high school. Top 10 classes briefly here: Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Miami, LSU, Oklahoma, Auburn, and then Florida. I think that's about the more maybe Oklahoma up there, but Florida being there at number 10, do something with that. But like you just mentioned, Texas A&M had the number 1 overall class 2 years ago and did nothing with it.
Florida's really not surprising. I mean, it's still Florida. They're upgrading all of their facilities, right? I mean, that's been in the works for a couple years now. And what's at Florida that's not at those other 9 places? A chance to play immediately.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha. So, I was going to say Gators. I'm not sure.
A chance to play right away, which, I mean, typically as a freshman going to Alabama or Georgia, you're not getting a lot of minutes, if any, to start out your career, unless you're just a generational type talent.
Yeah.
So, for me, the Florida thing makes sense.
All right, let's get into our top 5 at 5 here. We'll start off with let's start number 5. And I really enjoy these out of a refrigerator. I like to keep these particular Little Debbie cakes in a refrigerator. Fudge rounds. Fudge rounds are going to come in at number 5 for me. I think they'd be a lot higher on the list for other people, but number 5 for me is going to be fudge rounds. What about for you?
Frosted mini donuts, the chocolate ones. Whether it's in the bag, whether it's in the little roll, they're always good. They're always on the spot. The only problem is if they do melt, they're messy.
Yeah.
For me, my first one's going to be pretty generic. It's just a regular old honey bun.
Regular old honey bun. There you go. I'm right there with you. Ever put peanut butter on honey bun?
No, I never tried.
Oh boy, you got to try that one, man. Try that. Number 4 for me, I'm going to go with I don't know if this would be considered a classic or not, but zebra cakes for me. Zebra cakes, the vanilla zebra cakes with a little bit of the chocolate icing across the top there. Number 4, zebra cakes.
For me, I'm going to go, it's more of a seasonal thing, but they're good all year round, the Christmas tree cakes.
Oh, yeah.
The Christmas tree cakes, they hit the spot.
They hit the spot, but for me, they're one of those ones that I don't think it's year round for me, and I don't know why. Is it the little candies that are on top of it?
It could be.
Maybe so, but I do really enjoy a good Christmas tree.
I like the my next one, number 4, like the strawberry Swiss rolls.
Yeah,
it's got the strawberry filling with the white icing, and it's like with the yellow cake or the angel food kind of cake.
I forgot about those, man. Like those would replace fudge rounds for me. I forgot about those. Number 3, I'm going to go with the staple for Nick Saban, and I think I ate about 6 of these the other night. Oatmeal cream pie. Oatmeal cream pies, but I was like, just one more. So, oatmeal cream pie is coming in at number 3 for me. What about for you, AG?
3 for me was my 4 for you, zebra cakes.
Zebra cakes.
Zebra cakes are hard to beat.
There you go. What you got, Rick?
For me, the next one I got is Star Crunch.
Star Crunch, man.
Star Crunch.
Hey,
great, man. That's
a little low for me. That's a little low because at number 2, I got to go with the Star Crunch, man. And it was going to be my number 1, but my number 1 is just it's just a classic. Travis says during Christmas a couple years ago they had cakes with eggnog filling, and that was his favorite. Unfortunately, you can't find those anymore. Travis said that.
Number 2 for me is just the standard operating deal, the chocolate cupcake.
Okay.
Right, the white swirl on top with the white filling in the middle. it's hard to beat those.
There you go.
All right, for me, number 2, Cosmic Brownie.
Oh, see, I'm more a fan of the regular brownies with the nuts on top of them more so than the candies.
See, I don't like the walnuts too much. So.
I feel you on that though. I love
But those brownies, either way, though, they're good.
Yes, they are. They are. And there's something about it's almost like it's like a piece of fudge or something.
There's too much junk in there. It's bad for you. That's what it is. That's why it tastes so good.
There you go, man. So the better something tastes, the worse off that it is for you. Number 1 for me is going to be the Nutty Buddy bars, man. Nutty Buddy bars coming in at number 1 for me, and I got to be careful with those because I could end up eating a whole box. And what's crazy about this is I'm really not a big sweets guy. I'm really not. But once I start going down that path, like once I open it up, it's like, all right, yeah, I'll have another. I'll have another. Especially,
but see, that's the reason Nutty Buddies didn't make my list, is because at the end of the day, it's almost like you're eating air.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So you're never really like satiated.
Yeah.
It's like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Right? you have to keep drinking Dr. Pepper. And that's how they get you.
Yep.
Number 1 for me was Rick's number 2, Cosmic Brownies. It was a staple of, childhood lunches at school and things like that. So, the little pieces, whatever
Cosmics.
that was. Yeah.
A piece of the cosmos. Number 1 for you, Caveman Ray.
Number 1, you guys probably aren't going to like this, but not Little Debbie's at all. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. I want a tasty cake over a Little Debbie every day, all day, 24/7, 365 days a week. So for me, number 1 is the tasty cake, the butterscotch crimpets, or the peanut butter candy cakes. I'll eat those all day long above anything else.
I'm glad that you went that direction, though. I like, because, I wasn't trying to keep it just Little Debbie, but I like how you kept it Little Debbie up until where you're like, all right, now let's just keep it real.
Let's keep it real.
Tasty cakes are greater than...
If you haven't seen them out there, they've been around for a little while. Actually, probably the last, 8 or 10 years in this area. They are excellent. Give them a
They
try.
used to make a key lime powdered donut that my wife loved.
Key lime powdered
Tasty
donut.
Cake made a key lime powdered donut. And it's one of those things that you just can't find anymore.
There you go. Johnny Yankee Seed says Nutty Buddy bars. He also says fudge rounds better be on that list. I guess my question now to the listeners: if you don't want to send in your top 5, I get that, but just let's find out if Caveman Rick's right here. We're going with Little Debbie's or Tasty Cakes. Little Debbie or Tasty Cakes.
Well, you got Hostess as well. Like for me, if I'm at a gas station or whatever, and I just want a little something, a little chocolate, I'll go and get like a Hostess Zinger.
Zinger?
Right, the chocolate zingers.
A little fancier, man, like at the grocery store. I like the stuff from Entenmann's.
Yeah, the Entenmann's chocolate frosted donuts.
Oh, that's that stuff that
Or
looks
like
fancy.
the coffee cakes.
They got coffee
stuff
cakes as well.
Yeah, man, that stuff's banging, dude. That's really
There
good
you
stuff.
go. There you go. All right. Well, all of that just because I ate about 6 oatmeal cream pies the other night, and I was like, I wonder what our guys would think about that. Now we got the Super Bowl coming up. We haven't really talked a whole lot about it in the last 2 shows. Had a little bit more time about it on Monday, but yeah, it's Super Bowl Sunday. This Sunday, 1:00 coverage starts, and we'll take you to the game there. We'll take you to the coverage at 1:00, and then at 5:30, kickoff should happen. In the next segment, we're gonna do a little prop bets here, but I think this, let's play a little tail of the tape, who has the edge type deal. Quarterback, Brock Purdy. A lot of people calling him a game manager. Patrick Mahomes. I think it's pretty simple, but you can state your argument on why you think Patrick Mahomes has the edge here at quarterback. And we'll start with you, AG. Why do you think that Patrick Mahomes, or do you give the edge to Brock Purdy in this game?
No, I mean, you have to go with Mahomes, right? The ability, the experience, the knack for finding ways to win, right? Whether it's him with his feet, whether it's him, finding Kelsey or his other receivers, or just getting them in position to win. And that's what he's been doing for his entire career, and it's worked out pretty well so far for him. Purdy is on the other side of that, right? He had the injury against the Eagles last year in the NFC Championship game, so he didn't really get that same kind of experience.
You're welcome.
But well, it's not thank you for me, but I mean, I had no dog in that fight. But this is that opportunity for Purdy to show everybody that he's not that game manager, right? So, but I got to give the edge to Mahomes.
Okay, man, Rick, pretty easy.
Easy, man. Let's not waste time, Mahomes.
All right, yeah. The edge absolutely goes to Patrick Mahomes, and I think even with a loss, it's still not close between Patrick Mahomes and really any other quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you can make the argument for close as far as, how they play and all of that good stuff, but when it comes to getting his team to the position that they need to be in, it was proven. I mean, especially with the way
team on his back yet, like Mahomes years ago.
I'm talking about all 31 other quarterbacks, though, with especially with the way that this season went, and you'll have a lot of people say, well, it was just scripted that way so that they could get to the playoffs. But for the regular season that they had, for 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions for Patrick Mahomes, you talk about all of the drops as well. But for them to have the regular season that they had, kind of to some extent eke their way into the playoffs. They didn't eke their way, but
it was the first year they've had to go on the road, at least Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Right. And then to do that and be very impressive in both of those wins, not just Mahomes, but the Chiefs in general, the edge goes to Patrick Mahomes, but I think that this is going to be interesting for Brock Purdy. A win here, a loss here, I don't think that a loss necessarily hurts Brock Purdy as long as he plays decent football, but a win could project him into a fun conversation for 2024.
Well, it puts him in a different echelon, a different tier, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because obviously when you win your first Super Bowl, you've now separated yourself from the common folk.
Right.
And so that's where he is going to see an elevation in his prowess and in his prestige. So, again, still Mahomes, though.
All right, we'll look at the running back rooms for the Chiefs. Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and LaMichael Pirine. For the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and Jordan Mason. Now, this one, Pacheco's had a heck of a season, but still a CMC, and it's almost that same... The star power, at least. Star power is almost that same type of conversation where it's like, all right, we automatically know just because Christian McCaffrey is in this running back room, it makes them, it gives them the advantage. But is that correct? Who do you think has the running back room or the advantage at running back?
The edge goes to San Francisco because of CMC and his versatility. But in terms of importance to his team's success, nobody is more important to their team than Isaiah Pacheco is. That offense, as of right now, is built off of the run. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but that dude runs hard.
Yes, he does.
And he's determined. He fights, and he gets the extra yard. He always falls forward. You've got to give it to CMC just because he is a game changer that'll break one off for 60 yards if you blink. Pacheco's that guy. He's going to grind it out, which, I've said it from since the day that the game was decided who was going to play, that this game is going to come down to who's able to control the ball, right? Because if it's going to be a high scoring game and Purdy has to throw 40 passes, Chiefs are going to win.
Okay, man, Rick.
For me, it's kind of simple. Christian McCaffrey's the best running back in this game. And then after him, I got more faith in Elijah Mitchell than I do in Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Okay.
So even if you would think Pacheco and CMC are kind of on par by going that route, for me, San Francisco's got the better running back room.
Yeah, for all of those reasons. And then another back that's not even mentioned, even though he's not a halfback, but the fullback in Kyle Juszczyk. I think that's another clear advantage but that makes it a clear advantage for the San Francisco 49ers. As we move over to the receivers, we'll include the tight ends here as well. For the Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Justin Watson, Noah Gray. I don't even know if we should say Kadarius Toney, but we'll say Kadarius Toney, Richie James, and Mecole Hardman. For the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Jawan Jennings, Ray McLeod III, and Chris Conley and Ronnie Bell. So who has the advantage? This one's a little bit tougher, right? Because of all of the drops that the Chiefs had. 49ers, to me, this one is a little two of the greatest tight ends in the game, Travis Kelce and George Kittle. But with the 49ers, it's like Brandon Ayuk is one of those still kind of waiting on. I think he's had his breakout, but I still don't think that he consistently lives up to the expectations. Did have that great grab against the Lions. So for me, I think just because of Travis Kelce, I want to give the nod to the Kansas City Chiefs. But if we're going off the whole of the receiving core, I've got to go with the 49ers because not just Deebo Samuel, but Brandon Ayuk, then George Kittle, and then third and long, Jawan Jennings. So I'll give the edge to the 49ers myself.
For me, the edge is to the 49ers, and it's because of one person and his ability to not only run routes, but his ability to block and his ability to run the ball, and that's Deebo. You know, the reason that we've seen a drop in production for Brandon Ayuk has nothing to do with Brandon Ayuk. It has everything to do with their focus on getting Deebo Samuel the ball in certain spots. And I think he is going to be my X factor for this game. But there's too many holes on the Kansas City side, even with Travis Kelce. We've seen a resurgence, if you will, of Travis Kelce since the playoffs started, but I have to give the nod to the Niners.
This isn't even tough. This is easy for me. It's San Francisco. I mean, after Kelce, you don't have anybody that you have any faith in the Chiefs.
Rashee Rice.
It's been a few games.
Okay,
he hasn't had the consistency all season long, and now you're going to the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
No, you got to show me, dude. So because of that, man, with Deebo and with Kittle and Ayuk, I mean, those three right there, I mean, yeah, you can't compete. San Francisco all day.
For lack of time, instead of going front seven, secondary, and special teams, just defense and special teams here. Defense and special teams, who would you give the edge to when it comes to two of the top three defenses in all of the league? AG, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs because not too many offenses have scored against them here lately. The Niners have been reluctant to stop the run and reluctant to stop the pass. And teams are putting up numbers and yards and points on them, and Kansas City has not. So I'm going to give it to the Chiefs.
Right now, defense overall, I'm going to say San Francisco, actually. I think, they've had a couple games where they gave up some points and stuff. They came out early in those games, and, they just didn't seem like they were ready, or they just took a little while to kind of get themselves, together and get going. I don't think it'll be the case this time. I think they got the better defense overall.
I think up front, the 49ers have the edge, and then in the secondary, it's more of the Chiefs. But, I mean, the Chiefs were given – they didn't sack – Lamar Jackson a ton, but they were pressuring him.
They didn't make him run, though. They made him pass.
Yeah.
So they contained him.
Well, the Baltimore Ravens also chose not to run. They said, you know what, let's run the ball 16 times, and 8 of those are going to be by quarterback design runs. So for me, I'm going to give the edge for echoing exactly what AG just said with down this stretch here, and we're talking about the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens, two offenses that are more than capable of putting up a ton of points, and the Chiefs did not let them do that. Whereas the 49ers, and you can't take anything away from the Packers or the Lions and offensively what they bring to the table. But for that reason, I'm just going to give a slight edge to the Kansas City Chiefs in this one, with as good as they've been in the last 2 rounds of the playoffs, the only 2 rounds of the playoffs for them. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to do a little Super Bowl prop bets when we return. We'll be right back.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday evening. As we head into tonight, some clouds and a low of 46 with a brisk wind out of the east around 8 miles per hour. For tomorrow morning, some sun and a temp near 60. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a high around 63. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Sports fans, we love our teams, but let's talk real estate for a moment. Meet Berg Title, your trusted local real estate title and escrow company. Based in downtown Panama City, Berg Title knows the community inside out. They handle everything from title searches to escrow services with expertise. Honest, reliable, and here to make your real estate journey smooth. Remember, it's Berg Title. Call them at 850-250-2900. That's Berg Title, your partner for a worry-free real estate experience in Panama City and Panama City Beach.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
When the sun sets on the Emerald Coast, the freaks come out and play.
Hi, I'm a recovering crackhead.
Hand me that shotgun.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
Get on your knees!
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back into the Doghouse. This is the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. You can give us a call or text at 850-215-6290. I'm David Hayes along with AG and Caveman Rick, and we're going to dive into some Super Bowl prop bets here. We were talking a little bit about these on the Inside Drive. We'll make our picks, and I'll have Max and Tyler make their picks, and we'll get Brian Haddad, and everyone will get caught up. We're not going to count these for anything, but they're a lot of fun, and they're a lot of fun to have with you when you're doing. Really, what I like to do is when I'm at a Super Bowl party is have these, for everyone, and then also the commercial prop bets, and then that just keeps everyone involved, and you got a couple of people that you put in charge of, hey, you got to watch every single commercial, and if you don't, then you just get on out of here. No, I'm just kidding.
Got to pick somebody that doesn't like to enjoy themselves too much at these parties. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I guess I could be that person now, right? All right, we'll dive into our Super Bowl prop bets here, and we'll start it off with a coin toss, heads or tails. Both of them minus 105 here. I'm a tails never fails type of guy, so I'll go with tails.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. I'm at tails.
Yeah, that's what I usually do too, is tails. So why not?
All right. Who's going to win it, the 49ers or the Chiefs? The 49ers are going to be calling it. I'm thinking that the captain is gonna call for heads there, so I'm going to say the Chiefs win the coin toss.
I've got the Niners picking it. So
Chiefs.
All right. Opening kickoff result. Will it be a touchback or will it be returned? This is interesting. So a touchback will be minus 360. A return kick will be plus 265. I think I want to go with the overwhelming favorite here. Yeah, the weather is not going to play a factor here. So give me the touchback.
That's what I'm going, because it's a dome touchback, easy.
Yeah, I'm going touchback as well.
Opening kickoff return for a touchdown. That is plus 5,000, but you can't do that on a touchback. So there is no option for no. I'm just gonna no. First team to call a time. Does anyone think that?
No, I mean, we all pick
exactly.
touchbacks.
Okay. First team to call a timeout. Will it be the 49ers or the Chiefs? This is a tough one. Both teams come in at minus 115. Oh, someone else go first.
I'm going to go Niners call the first timeout. They're going to have a situation where Purdy is starting out maybe in the first quarter. He's getting a little confused. Chiefs are, Spagnuolo's throwing some different looks at him. They have to call a timeout.
Oh, that's a good take right there. I'm just going to say the Chiefs, though. I'm going to go the other way on this one.
I like AG has persuaded me, and not that I had a team in my mind, but I think that's right? Like the Chiefs have been here. They're going to be a little bit more comfortable with their opening setup, with their opening script. 49ers might run into some issues there, especially with that defensive front there or really the defensive secondary for the Chiefs. So I'm going to say 49ers are the first to call a timeout. What about the first team to attempt a coach's challenge? Both teams come in at minus 115. Which team, we'll start with you, Caveman Rick, will be the first to attempt
first
it?
Team, give me this 49ers. I think Shanahan's more likely to throw a flag than Andy Reid.
All right. What about you?
I'm going to go with Chiefs simply because they like to throw more trick plays out there, and there might be might be a judgment call out there with something that they're doing that's a little wonky, and Andy Reid's going to throw that red flag. Or yellow, red flag.
I'm going to go with the 49ers because I'll take you back to the NFC Championship game last year, that catch to Devontae Smith down the sideline, and had they challenged that, not that would have changed the game or not, but still, Shanahan's got to know, like, hey, hold that thing in my hand.
Regrets and have an itchy trigger finger.
Yeah, maybe so. So I'll go with the 49ers. Then we'll go to the seventh one. Will there be a touchdown from the 1 yard line? Minus 170 for yes, plus 138 for no. I mean, if the Eagles were in this position, it's 1,000% yes. I'm going to say from the 1 yard line, no.
I'm going to go with yes. You've got two running backs in McCaffrey and Pacheco that they love to give the ball to down in the red zone. Somebody's going to get down to the one, and they're going to rush it in.
Yeah, I can see there being like a pass interference, in the end zone, and somebody gets the ball on the one, and then like a quarterback might even run it in. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to say yes.
Or you get the Travis Kelce tush push.
Oh, the Travis Kelce tush push. There you go. Number 8, will the first play from scrimmage result in a first down? At first glance, I thought that was that it said touchdown. So will the first play from scrimmage result in a first down? Yes is plus 340. No is minus 500. Oh, so I'm thinking that the 49ers are going to get the ball first because the Chiefs win the toss.
And deferred.
Which more teams, it seems like, are not deferring and just taking the ball to kind of set the tone, if you will. I'm going to say no, though. I'll go with the heavy favorite and say no for a first down. Because you got to feel it out, right?
I'm going to go no, too. I mean, that's a big play, the first play of the game in the Super Bowl.
For me, I'm going to go no, right? I think the Chiefs end up with the ball because I think the Niners win the toss. I think they elect to defer, get their defense out there, get a stop, maybe try to get on the other side of things with Kansas City. And typically, Kansas City likes to run the ball. So you're going to see like 3.5, maybe 4 yards in the first play from Pacheco.
Hey, well, that's a great take because the next one, total yards gained on the first play, is going to be over or under 3.5. Over is minus 115. Under is minus 110. Ooh, this is a tough one. I think it's going to be a run to McCaffrey. I'll say over. I'll say over. They're going to gain 6 yards, but not get the first down.
Yeah, I'm going to say over, too. Everybody's going to be fresh, so even if it's a running play, the running back, whoever gets the ball, is going to have fresh legs. A lot of these guys can hit, the line and then fall forward and get, like, a lot of this yardage, so I'm going to say yes.
I'm going to go with under on this one.
These next two, the odds on it's a little bit wild. So will Patrick Mahomes throw an interception? Yes is minus 130. No is plus 100. I'm going to say that Patrick Mahomes does not throw an interception in this game.
That's where I'm at. I don't think he throws one.
I will say he does throw a pick in this game.
All right. Now, what is not interesting about that because, Patrick Mahomes, yes, minus 130. No is at plus 100. But then on the flip side of that is will Brock Purdy throw an interception? And yes is plus 100. No is minus 135. And I think Brock Purdy is but good for an interception in this game. So as an underdog, I think that makes it even easier. I think Brock Purdy will throw an interception.
Well, where have we seen Brock Purdy struggle, right? It's getting the ball over the defensive line, right? So the ball's going to be tipped up in the air. Somebody's going to get their hands up. somebody's going to come down with an interception. Yeah, I just think it's bound to happen.
I agree with all that. I'm saying yes.
All right, we'll move on to number 12. Who will have the first interception of the game? Mike Edwards plus 900. Tayshawn Gibson Jr. plus 900. L'Jarius Sneed at plus 1,000. Diamondora Lenore at plus 1,200. Jair Brown at plus 1,400. And Charvarius Ward at plus 1,800. Sneed that would be a good pick there. I'm going to go with Charvarius Ward. Why not? I ain't throwing no money on all of this anyways.
Sneed, man.
Did you pick Mahomes to throw an interception?
There you go.
Good catch there, brother. Good catch. All right, so we'll go with Mike Edwards then.
I got both of them hitting an interception, but Sneed's a good pick, I think. The tip ball kind of thing, the angle that Adam's talking about, I think would help him out a bunch. So, yeah, give me Sneed.
Yeah, I picked Sneed on this one.
Plus, didn't he have the guarantee last week for the win? I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So
well, he's just that guy that he seems to always be around.
And if he makes that call last week and he makes a play like that in this game, pretty legendary, you know?
Yeah.
But he always seems to be that guy that's around, right? He's Kyle Hamilton for the Ravens.
Yeah.
You turn around and you look and you're like, there's that guy again.
Yep. He really is.
Put a wager on that.
Well, I mean, you go back to the Dolphins game and the way that L'Jarius Sneed locked down Tyreek Hill, and then the huge play against Zay Flowers this last week, or not this last week, but in the AFC Championship. So yeah, he's been playing like a dog, and he is always on the radar. Who's going to end up having more receiving yards? Will it be Deebo Samuel at plus 6.5 or Brandon Ayuk at minus 6.5?
Well, if you're going to go just passing, I'm going to take Ayuk because Debo's probably going to get a chance to run the ball a decent amount. So give me Ayuk.
I think it's Debo. I think you're going to see the Niners try to utilize that in between the 40s, and that's where they really, really like to utilize Debo. I think you're going to see him kind of break one for about 60, 70, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm going to go with Debo as well. I'll take Debo to have more receiving yards than his counterpart in Brandon Ayuk. Number 14 is going to be, will there be a fumble lost in the first half? The answer yes is plus 128. The answer no is minus 158. Let me get the underdog in this one, man. I think right near the end of the first half, one of those fumbles that just kind of changes the complexion of the game somehow, some way. I'm going to go with the plus 128 yes.
Oh, so you're going with the Jalen Hurts scenario?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, Rick.
It happens, Joe. We were there, though.
I'm going to go no on this one. I don't think there is a fumble. I think it's a pretty clean game, honestly. I think you're going to see, the interception from Purdy, but I think overall these are two pretty good disciplined teams. So I think penalties are going to be down. I think turnovers are going to be limited, and you're going to see two teams really, really going at it.
I already got each quarterback throwing interceptions, so that's 2 turnovers right there. So because of that, I'm going to say no on the fumble.
Yeah.
And then, if there's going to be any turnovers, it'll be interceptions.
I mean, you can just do it like I did it. Patrick Mahomes isn't going to throw an interception, but I'm going to go with Charvarius Ward to have the first interception of the game.
What do they call that in the gambling world? Hedging your bet.
Yeah, hedging your bet. Yeah, that's just called stupid money. Being stupid with your money.
Just don't put it on a parlay.
Yeah, and then you. Could you imagine, like Hard Rock's like, hey, thanks, man. Appreciate
we'll take your money.
Yeah. You bet anytime you want, my friend.
Or unless it's one of those situations where, a Rashee Rice throws it.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's Patrick Mahomes that threw it. So I guess that still doesn't work.
Well, no, not necessarily, because it just says first interception of the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could get away with it just like that. Man, they would be furious if your parlay paid out like that, dude. Like, oh, thanks for Rashee Rice. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown. I just don't see how he doesn't score in this game.
He'd have to get hurt and be out the game.
Yeah.
It's got to be yes.
Yeah, I think he scores.
Minus 220. Will Christian McCaffrey's longest rush be for 18 or more yards? Yes is minus 120. No is minus 110. This is a very interesting prop bet. Will Christian McCaffrey's longest rush be for 18 or more yards? AG, what do you think?
I'm going to go with yes. I think that the Niners and Shanahan had looked at that tape from a couple weeks ago where the Ravens just refused to run the ball for whatever reason against the Chiefs defense that is more susceptible to the run than it is to pass. And he's going to say, you know what? we brought this guy over. We traded for him. We just signed him. We're going to ride him until she bucks. And you're going to see him break off a couple.
I'm going to say no, because of the fact that, like, I said, like, unless he gets hurt or something like that. I mean, don't want to jinx the guy, but, like, I mean, the way his career's went, he's kind of due, if you ask me, So I'm not saying that he's going to get hurt in the game, but they might just, they got other guys they can use as well. So I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say yes because I believe that the secondary for the Chiefs is a little bit better than up front. So I think Christian McCaffrey at one point in time will wiggle his way loose for a 20-yard or better gain, even though it only needs to be 18. Nick Bosa, will he or won't he record 2 or more sacks? For yes, it is plus 350. I'm going to say no in this one. That offensive line, not only is the offensive line decent, but Patrick Mahomes just finds a way to get rid of the ball, even if it's happened to transfer it to his left hand and throw it out of bounds. So I'm going to say no for this one.
I'm at no on this one, even though it looks like Joe Thuney's probably not going to play.
Yeah.
Which is a big, dude missing right there. I mean, he's not just a good offensive lineman. He's a great offensive lineman. But we've seen teams, especially in the playoffs, try to get after Mahomes, and it's just hard to do. It's really hard to do. You have to have the right call at the right time, which it doesn't happen a whole lot. But for Bosa to get 2 sacks, man, that's game changing.
I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to say no. If he gets it, it'd be 1, but like he'll be double teamed. If anybody else gets more than 1 sack, it won't be him.
Travis Kelce to have 11 or more receptions. He's had a ton of them in this postseason to this point, but I'm going to say no to 11 or more.
I'm going to say yes, actually. If the Kansas City Chiefs win this game, I think he's going to have to be a big part, so I'm going to say yes.
I'm at no. I think he's in that 7-8 range. Probably 11 targets, but he's probably in that 7-8 range as far as catches go.
Yeah, I like that. And then the color of the Gatorade bath. You got purple at plus 225, blue at plus 275, yellow and green, yellow or green at plus 450, red and pink at plus 450, orange at plus 500, clear or water at plus 1,000, and no Gatorade bath at plus 2,000. I'm going to go with clear or water. And normally I always go blue. I'm going clear water this year.
I think you got a lot of red and a lot of yellow in this game, so I don't think it's going to be either of the colors of the team, so I'm going to go blue.
Nice.
I'm going yellow-green here, man. I think they're going with that classic, lemon lime, right.
All right, and then the final one is, will the final score be a scoregami? And a scoregami is a combination that is a scoring combination that's never happened before in a sport or league's history. And I'm going to say no to this one because I've got the 49ers winning this game to the same score as the last time, 4 years ago when the Chiefs and the 49ers play. I got the 49ers winning 31-20. So I'm going to say no, it will not be a scoregami.
There's been a lot of games played for the Super Bowl, so there's a lot of scores that are kind of in that mid-range, a lot of teams with 20 and 30 type points and stuff like that. This game, will it be like that? I'm going to say no because of what's going on with this game, the whole Taylor Swift and Kelsey kind of aspect and all that. I'm going to say it's a pretty high-scoring game and maybe like one of the highest Super Bowls ever, maybe.
See, I'm on the other side of that. I think there's going to be a lot of offense, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I'm at like 23-20 Niners.
Nice, I like that, yeah.
Which I don't know what the over-under is off the top of my head.
I think it's 47.5.
Yeah, so I'm taking the under then. I think 23-20, which for Ryan's sake, I hope it's not because now he's relying on that kicker at least twice.
Yeah.
Right? But we'll see how it goes. And then, Kansas City has an ability to make people, they bend but don't break a lot, and the Niners kind of have a little bit in them, a lot of that in them as well. So I think 23-20 is where I'm at.
I think it'll be like Eagles-Patriots. That type of game.
Yeah, there you go, man. Do we get a Philly special or a Kansas City special, and then follow that up with
That's where you get your Rasheed Rice interception for.
Isn't that a barbecue sauce KC special?
There you go. Hey, you guys have been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. One more segment is going to be AG and Caveman Rick talking maybe more Super Bowl, talking some Major League Baseball, spring training just around the corner. Y'all call in and text with them at 850-215-6290. Coach James Howell Show is going to be live at 7 in the morning. Inside Drive back tomorrow. tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 4. Alabama and Auburn coming up at 6. Just remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.
Take ESPN Northwest Florida with you everywhere you go.
Anytime, anyplace, anywhere.
The sports talk and live play-by-play doesn't have to end when you get out of the car. The ESPN Northwest Florida app streams your favorite sports talk hosts and the biggest games in ultra-high fidelity.
This is of utmost importance in travel.
Take the sports talk monster with you anywhere you go. Available for Android and iPhone.
Use it anywhere or any place.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida. Here is your weather forecast on this Wednesday evening. As we head into tonight, some clouds and a low of 46 with a brisk wind out of the east around 8 miles per hour. For tomorrow morning, some sun and a temp near 60. In the afternoon and evening, partly cloudy and a high around 63. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hello, this is Rick Vossen with RV of Panama City, your local Stormore portable building dealer, located at 2241 East Baldwin Road. Shopping for a garage, portable building, cabin? We build them anywhere from 8 to 16 foot wide, 10 feet to 60 feet long. We can do insulation, electricity, transom dormers, thermal windows. Come, let's customize a building together. Rick Vossen, Stormore portable building dealer, Panama City.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back in the doghouse. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We appreciate you, as always, for tagging along with us. I'm AG along with Caveman Rick. And a sport that's been getting looked over here lately because, you know, obviously it's not been one thing with NFL, college football, free agency, you know, transfer portal, all that stuff going on. Baseball has been kind of pushed to the back burner, right? Which typically it is this time of year, but it's fastly approaching, right? Pitchers and catchers are reporting. I'm heading down with my wife. We're heading down to Tampa at the end of this month. Going to go check out the Tampa Bay Rays at Toronto Blue Jays, and then the next day we're going to see the Baltimore Orioles at Pittsburgh Pirates. First experience ever for me at spring training. I wish my Reds were still down in Florida, but they're all the way out in Arizona. I'm not making that trek.
Yeah, no
doubt. But super excited about baseball. You know, as a Reds fan, haven't been this excited since like 2010, 2011, right? You know, the Phillies have had recent successes here, not winning it, you know, in the last, 5 years, but you've been there, right? You've had your shot. You've been relevant, right? How are you feeling about your Phillies coming into this season?
I like our chances. I feel pretty good. I mean, it's going to be kind of like status quo, though. I mean, you're going to have, that murder's row. I mean, the Mets are spending money. They're going to be a team that you're going to have to think about. Of course, you got the Dodgers, the National League, another team that, in your league that you're going to have to worry about, getting a lot of wins and probably having a lot of success or expecting it. Same thing with the Braves, So, I mean, right there, you got like three teams just right off the bat that, you're probably going to have trouble with. But, I mean, with the lineup that we have and the ability that we have to spend money if we need to, or if we feel we need to get another piece or something happens, I like our chances. I think we're okay. Plus the fact that just because you got a murder's row of a team like the Dodgers or like the Braves, we've seen them, have tremendous regular seasons and then go out and choke it up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
one thing that, in terms of differences between the Phillies and the Reds, obviously payroll notwithstanding, is, with the new balanced scheduling that they're doing, which I'm a fan of because you get to see every team. However, I'm not a fan, as a Reds fan, because we don't get to see the Cubs, the Pirates, and the Cardinals, who had a pretty down year last year, as many times, right? Whereas the Phillies, you don't have to face a resurgent Miami team as many times, or the murderer's row, as you called it, with Atlanta, or the potential of the New York Mets. You all don't see them as many times with the new balanced scheduling. So, I'm on the different end of that spectrum than you are.
But at the same time, that kind of makes it tough, because if you look at it like this is like big in hockey, okay, because there's a point system, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're playing against a team that is in your division that you're trying to catch in the standings, a win against them isn't really like one win. It's really like two, because you're stealing another win away from them that they can actually get. So if you're trying to catch a team, it's good to play those teams in your division. And when you don't get to play them, it makes it a lot harder to come back from behind.
No, and I get that, right? But again, though, instead of facing the Braves, 30 times, you're facing them 18.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, like right now, it's tough. But say in 3 seasons, if they're not as good, that might actually be a benefit if you play them.
Right. 100%. 100%.
Just the year.
So, Phillies coming off a nice playoff run last year, great playoff run the prior year, going to the World Series. Where do you see this team going, and what gets them over that hump?
Shoot, well, we think we get ourselves going, man. That's a good question. I don't know. Because of the last 2 years, going to the World Series 1 year and then kind of faltering, early on in the playoffs, it's kind of tough, You want to think that, you can at least get back to where we were at. So what is that? Then maybe just getting to the NLCS and losing again or something, or maybe making it back to the World Series. It's tough, though, to get, that many years in a row to be going that far, too. You don't see a lot of teams doing that. And that's the only thing that kind of gives me some pause. Moving, off of Rhys Hoskins and, moving Bryce Harper now over to full-time first base. We'll see how that works out for us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last year, it worked out, him coming back from the injury. But having a full season, could it actually be really beneficial now?
Yeah.
I'm hoping so, only time's going to tell. But if we can get the same kind of production out of guys like Schwarber, if Castellanos could have the year like he did last year instead of the year he had 2 years ago, that bodes well for us. Alec Boehm, if he can kind of step up and take it to the next level.
The key for me for the Phillies is Trey Turner, right? Because you saw what that Phillies team was able to do when he started turning it on. We saw it in the World Baseball Classic, and I know you and I talked about that last year after the WBC, and man, this dude is on fire right now. Can he continue this trend when the regular season starts? And then he kind of, it took him a while to get going, but when he got going, man, he was really a catalyst for that offense. And I think the Phillies do a disservice when they don't lead him off. I mean, I know he has the ability to drive in runs,
though. When he leads off, though, man.
But he's batting under 200.
Yeah,
right?
But when he does make contact, it's over the fence.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So, but don't you want runners on when he does that?
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to, but I mean, if that guy, if he's your leadoff hitter, and more times than not, he's going to hit it out of the park. I mean, if you put him in the third spot, is he going to hit as good as in the first spot? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm kind of wondering is there's obviously a reason why they're doing that, unless they just want to statement time. Go up 1-0 on the first couple pitches of the game, and then maybe try to make that pitcher sweat a little bit, try to get him run out sooner than later, and then get into the bullpen. I don't know if that's maybe what their mantra is or what they want to do, but apparently it works.
Yeah, and the game has definitely changed, right? I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, Adam Dunn. I don't know if you remember Adam Dunn, played for the Reds,
no
big
doubt.
dude.
Yeah, huge.
Massive home run hitter, and I think he played a decade too soon, right? Because if he were playing today, he would be that Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber. He'd be in that same mold. Strikeouts are high, doesn't reach base a lot, but man, he drives in runs and he hits homers.
Yeah.
The game has definitely changed, but then there's players that come out, right? That come up that change the game in a different way. Baseball is in such a good, it's in such good shape right now with stars like Julio Rodriguez, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, who actually both play for the Baltimore Orioles, Ronald Acuna, right? Freddie Freeman, I think you can throw in that mix as well. There's another guy in Houston that people just for whatever reason forget about, and Yordan Alvarez. to me, is arguably a top 3 hitter in baseball. So it's a weird dichotomy between...
Corbin Carroll's coming up.
Corbin Carroll is phenomenal, 100%. But there's a weird dichotomy between stars, right? I mean, J-Rod is obviously a star of the game. Gunnar Henderson is a star of the game. He's reigning AL Rookie of the Year. And then you've guys like Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, who have a completely different approach to the game, but are still considered one of the top players in the game. And I think that's what makes baseball beautiful, right? Because if you look at this from an NBA perspective, you've got a guy that, sometimes he shoots really, really well, and in other times he doesn't. Like one game he gives you 40, the next game he gives you 10. What's the story with that guy, right? He's probably not going to be playing a whole lot or for very long. But in baseball, you have that role, that niche, that you can really solidify yourself in that lineup every single day. And I think that's what makes baseball beautiful. And baseball is in such good shape right now because of all of this young talent. And again, so when I say I'm excited for baseball, it's not just because of my Cincinnati Reds and that young core that they have coming back and, the hopes and aspirations and dreams, but getting to watch all of this young talent, that we've seen, come up through the minors and see them take that next step like a Corbin Carroll. It's really, really exciting, and I don't think baseball is getting its just due. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like you mentioned, how guys like Schwarber and Pete Alonso get a lot of attention in baseball, as opposed to some of these younger guys that are breaking out and coming out. And unfortunately, I think baseball is not like a meritocracy where it's not who's great right now in the moment. It's a lot about what you've done in the past recently, in the last year, last season or two. Even for All-Star voting, right? You can have a great youngster coming out and having a phenomenal start to a season, right? Mm-hmm. And then by the time the All-Star break comes, they don't get voted in, right? And it probably won't be until the next season that they might actually get voted in, because the fans are going to take what they did this season, and then if they continue it next season, then that'll kind of push them into that realm where they'll get voted in. And I think with baseball, unfortunately, it's not in the now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're always thinking about a little bit in the past and a little bit behind. And I think that's the kind of thing that it's hurting. So maybe last year was really good, you're talking about all this youth that came up, right? Maybe the cake's got to bake a little bit. Maybe going into this season, and if all that success continues, then I think maybe, more eyeballs will get put on there and more people will be talking about it.
Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on some of these minor league prospects that are getting, I don't want to say major money because it's not $25 million a year, but they're getting $8 to $12 million a year and they haven't even stepped foot on a major league field?
I don't know about that. I mean, if the teams have got the money, to do that and to stack their rosters, then I guess more power to them. I'm not familiar with how the structure works in the minor leagues with salary cap, if there's a luxury tax and all that, because I'm used to my team, the Phillies, where money really doesn't matter. There's no cap, it's not my money, that they're spending necessarily either. And if they go out and they spend an exorbitant amount of money on somebody, it's not like it's going to keep them from doing something else if they feel they need to. So as long as, we got a stacked roster, or you can have a good farm team that way, so that you got prospects that you can either move, to make other deals or to bring up if needed, then that's great. But I just wonder, about the parity, if there's other teams that'll be able to keep up with being able to pay guys like that.
Well, and that's the thing is like I said, they're not signing these kids to, and when I say kids, I mean kids. I mean, Jackson Churio is
18.
He's 19 years old. I think he's going to be 20 this year, right? And he signed an 8-year, I think $8.5 million a year, contract, which is great money for him as a teenager.
Yeah.
But is he doing himself a disservice? So I think we're going to see a kind of a trend where where this thing is going to happen more. But I think it's going to get bucked come the next CBA, because the players union is going to look at it and go, okay, well, now you're taking advantage of these young kids, even though they're unproven at the major league level. I'm excited for it. I wish the Reds would follow suit and take some of these kids
We had
that
a lot
we've
of
got
minor
up
league
and
teams
say,
fold.
here's 10 years, go for it.
A lot of minor league teams were going away, too, because of, like, not having any money, you know, to pay people and stuff like that. And what's sad, real quick, is that, like, you know, unfortunately, a lot of minor leaguers are never going to make it up, and they're just placeholders so that we can see the really good, like, young stars have a place to play. Because without all those, like, fillers, if you will, I'm doing air quotes, there wouldn't even be a league for those big stars to be able to play and shine so that they can make it to the next level to the show.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned. You're going to have Alabama, the Crimson Tide, at the Auburn Tigers. Stay tuned for ESPN Northwest Florida. Be kicking off as soon as we get done here. For Caveman Rick, I am AG. You've been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Super Bowl halftime show. What's it pay? What's it cost? Let's look into it. J-Lo's halftime show cost about $13.